Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Hispanic Patriot, a weekly podcast broadcast live from a secret, undisclosed location deep behind enemy lines in Denver, Colorado. Here we speak the truth and nothing but the truth, so help us God. And Hugo is out. He is visiting the motherland in Spain. He should be back this evening, I believe, but he'll be back next week. We have a very special show tonight. We're two very special guests. Adriana Cuva is the secretary of the El Paso County Republican Party, and Candice Stutzriem. Did I pronounce that right? And she is the chairman of election integrity, and also the chair of the canvassing committee down in the Republican Party in El Paso County. So I am stoked to have these two wonderful ladies with us this evening. We're going to hear about what they're doing, how they're reaching out to the Hispanic community, and also we're going to hear more about the election integrity and the issues that we've been talking about in previous weeks. So thank you so much, ladies. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
I'm so excited to have you here. Let me turn this music down. Normally we got Hugo here and I can do both of these things, but so yeah, cool. I want to hear all about it. Why don't we start with this? I mean, you know, we're coming into an election year. Adriana, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and I mean, what led you from, where did you grow up? And what was it like being a young Hispanic American woman? And how did you what led you to the El Paso County Republican Party group? And then Candice, please, I want to hear the same about you. And then we'll jump into the topics. But first we want to get to know you. So Adriana, go ahead.
Well, I'm originally from Ecuador. I moved to this country when I was 8 years old. And my dad in Ecuador was an attorney and then a judge, and so so it was wonderful living there. But I do see that there's a lot of the things that a lot of people leave third world countries are coming. I see them here. You flee the crime and all of that, and I hear it more and more in our news each and every day. But I moved here and I grew up in New York City. So I'm in New York City.
Oh, wow.
Now. And I grew up there, and then I got married, and I have lived I guess all over the country and in several parts of the world in Europe. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I've got to see that, America is a great country, and we have amazing possibilities. And it's just kind of sad to see the way it's been moving towards I guess when I look at friends that were very wealthy from Venezuela, and some of them had to sell. This was back in 2001. They had to sell their land because the government was taking over their land. I just thought, oh my gosh, that breaks my heart. And this was 15 years ago or so. There. Yeah. But anyways, we moved all over the country and all over the world. And when we came back from living in Belgium, I homeschooled my children, and I thought I really want to get engaged, because not only is my husband serving, but I felt that I also had to serve in some way, because we see all our young men, and we've been to so many different cemeteries all over the world, especially World War I, World War II, in Germany and in France and Belgium. And I felt like I had to step up and just do something as well. So when we were in New York, I started with our kids, since they were homeschooled, we started getting involved and helping with our assemblyman who was running for office, and he is now New York Senator there. And we also campaigned for Elise Stefanik. So that got us all involved into politics.
Okay.
Yes.
That's so cool. I mean, gosh, all over. And so you moved from Ecuador to New York. When was that? How old were you?
I was 8 years old.
Okay. Wow.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And then you went to Europe because your husband was in the service?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Wow. And so what brought you here to Colorado?
So it's the military.
Yeah, I figured the Springs. Yeah.
The Springs, yes. The military brought us here. And I think as we were unpacking, I met some friends and they wanted to run for school board. And I didn't think I don't know how I wanted to get engaged in politics here, but I started campaigning for them in our local school district. And they did not get elected. But that's what spearheaded everything else here in Colorado.
Oh my gosh. And when was this? When did you get involved here? How many years ago?
We moved here 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
Just over 2 years ago. I think I called right after that. I called the GOP and I said, how can I get involved? And they said, we're trying to fill precinct leader spots. And so I started knocking on doors relentlessly till about 7 o'clock at night.
Oh my gosh. You guys are heroes, chargers. That is service. I used to have to knock doors for roofing. I was in roofing, so they tell us to go out and knock doors after the hail. And oh yeah, that's fun.
Yes, everybody needs.
I mean, people are really nice to door knockers. Like, they love it when you come and knock on their door around dinner time. It's like the best. Which I'm sure. I hear women are greeted a little more warmly than men, but hey, I guess it depends. I guess it depends on who's answering the door. Maybe that's flipped if it's whatever. Anyways, so but Ecuador, that's amazing too. I was living back about 15 years ago when Hugo Chavez was taking the reins and driving Venezuela down into doing what it was. I was living in Aruba, which is 14 miles off the coast of Venezuela. And so that was at a time where Venezuela was still relatively safe compared to Colombia. Colombia was the hot,
right.
That's the big cartel state or country. And so Venezuela, you could still go over there. But as I was living there, it gradually became more and more hostile to Americans. So they put the kibosh on us going and visiting and all that. But yeah, a lot of Venezuelan friends. And then we're seeing a lot of Venezuelans coming over, which is the ironic thing. We've got all these kids coming out of college pushing socialism and Marxism and opening up the borders with this whole the administration and the powers that be and all that. And ironically, we have the socialists escaping socialism coming over here, trying to escape what they have. And we're trying to make what they have. It's so, backwards.
Backwards, yes.
Anyways, so, but I've never been to Ecuador. I've heard cool stories right on the equator, right? It's very warm and
it is. I think it's got everything you might ever want to see. It's got the Andes Mountains, which is part of in Quito, which is the capital. Then you have the Amazon, so you can visit, the mountains, the Amazon, or the coast, and you have the Galapagos Island as well.
Yeah, wow. Hey, Darwin. So we got Marx and Darwin all in one conversation. We're good to go.
That's right.
Candice.
Yes.
Thank you for joining. We're so pleased to have you, and it's so nice to meet you.
Same to you. Thank you.
How did you end up out, humping on the streets and banging doors down and just kicking butt for the GOP?
I can directly pin that one on Adriana. I met her through the GOP party. The headquarters is here in the Springs. And it kind of backs up a little bit before that. When I woke up on November 4th, 2020, to me, it was a more significant emotional experience than even 9/11 was to me. It was a more riveting experience to wake up, and I was convinced that our election had been stolen. To me, it was more significant than even 9/11 because
Yeah.
I woke up with the conviction that something, our very voice, had been taken away from us in the night. And I woke up a different person. One of the people that ended up being so influential to me was a man named General Tom McInerney. Some people may recognize him. He's an octogenarian now.
Okay.
He was a general officer. Ended up that he was my first wing commander when I was in the Air Force.
Oh, wow.
And that person is like a father figure. So I had heard communication that he put out on election night, implying that there was this massive computer that the CIA and the military had developed. It was called Hammer, and the application was called Scorecard. And he was warning, basically putting out the clarion call to the public that this computer had been hijacked as part of the computer fraud, as the election fraud operation.
Oh my gosh.
If anybody else in the world had told me that, I wouldn't have believed him. But it was General Thomas McInerney who told me that.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
from that very day, my life was changed. I would say that fast forwarding, I'm a unapologetic war room devotee to Steve Bannon. And because of his encouragement, I pursued becoming a precinct leader, part of the precinct strategy. And that's where God crossed my path with Adriana's. Adriana is the most extroverted person I've ever known. She never met a stranger that she didn't love. And she loves knocking on doors. And so she kind of brings up the courage in all of the rest of us to follow her around until we get our own confidence. And we can begin to, nobody can approximate what she does because people fall in love with her on the spot. But because of her, she helped get me, I won the precinct leader position in my neighborhood. And then the next thing Steve Bannon told me to do was to help with poll watching. So I volunteered with the headquarters to organize the poll watching effort, which is a very significant undertaking because, as you know, El Paso County is the largest county in the state. And it was no small task to organize that by hand. And then after that, it led to a canvassing operation. We learned how to canvass to verify the voter record. And anyway, Adriana and I have become bosom friends. I mean, she's a lifetime friend forever. She'll never get rid of me. I'll be the thumb on her shoe the rest of her life. We are such like-minded warriors in this. We're propelled by a sense that we are saving this vote for our children, for our country, and we're helping educate people to something that they are, they're completely, it's not that they wouldn't be engaged, but they're unaware of just where we're at and just how serious this is, and that we are in the final minutes of saving this country. We have a country to save.
Absolutely.
We have locked arms along with others, and we're doing everything we can in the next year to save this country.
Amen. Right on. Guy, you guys inspire the heck out of me. I'm going to come down and knock some doors with you.
And it won't be for roofing. And it won't be for roofing. It'll only be for Republican voters to step up and get engaged.
Yeah, and if they do, I'll provide a free roof assessment if they decide to cross party lines.
Right.
No charge.
Skills. We've got skills. You've got skills. Good.
So you served in the Air Force. Was that down there in the Springs, or where was that?
No, this was a long time ago. Out of college, I was in Arizona. I grew up in Arizona. So
Okay.
I learned Spanish in high school, and my husband had a 32-year Air Force career, so it took us all around the world,
Uh-huh.
and we ended up landing here in Colorado Springs as our retirement city.
Okay.
So I ended up becoming a nurse at the end of my life, an RN, kind of a
Wow.
midlife makeover. So I
Yeah.
had 2 careers, but it did start in the Air Force. And anyway, one of our tours was in Del Rio, Texas, which is right on the border.
Okay.
And this was before all the drama
Yeah.
that is happening there now. But I love that community, loved going over the border, loved all the Hispanic friends we had there.
Mm-hmm.
It was it really one of probably our favorite assignment, Del
Oh,
Rio, Texas.
wow. Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Southern California, so obviously a very strong Mexican population there. And we used to do later not in my teen years, but 20s, and after I got saved, I got plugged in. We started doing a lot of mission work down there, and I've probably done 15, 20 mission trips across the border, Mexicali, Tecate, Rosarito, Tijuana, anyways. But yeah, the community, it's beautiful. It's just, I lived in Aruba for several years. Some of my best friends are Venezuelan, and I met Colombian, Brazilian, all over South Central America. But yeah, it's a beautiful community, beautiful, the values. That's what this, faith, family, and freedom. That's what we're all about, and the funny thing is when you look, I was watching these videos on, PragerU, and they interview people down at the border, and they say, hey, our border's racist, and are they bad? And Mexico, like this, I think he must have been a Mexican man, and he was still in Mexico, and he was saying, no, how vital it was. And they have more smarts than our college grads. But anyways, the point is that's what we're all about. This channel is reaching out to the Hispanic community. And it's not so much that so many Hispanics vote Democrat because that's what their values are. It's more that that's all they know, because the left has hijacked media and the way they've exploited immigrants and so on and so forth, which I know I'm preaching to the choir, but anyways, I feel you loud and clear. So, well, that's awesome. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Now are you still practicing as a nurse?
No, really the whole COVID drama put my career on hold, and I never went back. So I'm now all about this. I'm full-time.
Oh, cool.
Integrity. It's a calling.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Well, it's a wonderful community of people that are, we call us awakened, not woke, awakened. We get it.
Right. That's right. We need to redeem that word woke. It's like,
exactly.
What it really means is asleep. Like if you're woke by that definition, you're asleep. But to be unwoke is to be woke. So
yeah,
it's just funny how that works. But
it's about truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so what are you guys finding down there on the streets when you're talking to people? I mean, forget what the media says and what we're hearing. What are you guys seeing when you're engaging the community? What's the feedback like?
Well, I know that we've had a couple of booths throughout our county here. Candice has volunteered with a couple of our booths as well. So we've done the county fair. We've done the Labor Day weekend fair down in the most southeast part of Colorado Springs, and we also were at Charis Bible College
cool.
at the beginning of September. And it's very encouraging to see that people are just coming up to our booth and saying, where do I sign up? How can I get involved? And I mean, it's wonderful to see that we're not just now making calls, but they're coming up, calling the GOP office, coming up to our booths and signing up. We actually have a new volunteer meeting next week, and just from the last two booths that we had just for a couple of hours, we have about 15 people coming to sign up to either fill in vacant precincts. And we only have here in El Paso County about 20% vacancy now. We have filled 80% of our precincts.
Wow. Just you guys, you're what you guys are doing. You filled 80%.
Adriana filled
wow
60%, 60 of the 85%. I'm not exaggerating.
No, it's been really a team effort. There's been a lot of people in our county with a group that have been, we've been getting voter rolls, and we just go out and walk and make sure that we get more people engaged. And so yes, that we filled 80% of the vacancies. We only have 20% left, and so we'd like to, especially out in the east part of Colorado Springs. I think there's still a couple of precincts, but you know what? That's one of the tasks at hand right now. There are 3 or 4 ladies, Hispanic ladies, also that are part of. They come and volunteer, or they're part of a group at the GOP, and they're Hispanic. And they have said, Adriana, let's go knocking on doors, because there's a House district here in House District 17 and 16, I believe. They're both, there's a lot of minority communities within those precincts, and we need to fill those. So I was so elated to hear that they want to get engaged and said, put me on, sign me in, and let's go knocking on these doors, and let's get the Hispanic community much more involved, because there have been more Hispanics that said, we come here, we work hard, and we're seeing that. One gentleman I spoke to, he said, I have a trailer, he owns a trailer home, and he said people have come in and broken into his home, and nothing really has occurred. And he said, that's what we leave our countries. We want law and order, and we're noticing that here nothing is being done.
Right. Yeah.
So it's very encouraging, though, to see that more people want to get engaged, and we've had a really good response just in the last 2 months.
Wow. That's awesome. I'm curious, why was it so vacant before? What was the reason?
I think as more of the grassroots got involved, and definitely the grassroots. So what I noticed is, as I was coming in, I heard all about precinct strategy and all of that while we were still living in New York. But when we moved here, I thought, what does that all have to do with how everything comes together? But the less people that you have involved, the easier it is to have I would say, the people that you would like to run for office. And it's easier because you don't have all the central committee voting these people in at caucus. Going to caucus and then voting them in at the separate assemblies, whether it's the county, the congressional district assemblies, or the state assemblies. So the less people you have in there, the easier it is to, kind of get, I would say, your little group to vote a certain person in. But as we grow the central committee, as the more precinct leaders get engaged, you have a variety of different people that will vet these candidates. They're more rigorous, I would say.
So it was literally people just wanted to hold the spot. They wanted to keep their power, essentially. Go ahead, Candice, please.
I was just going to say, in a fewer words, it's just that there was a smaller number of people controlling the entire party, and they liked it that way.
Yeah.
It was more of a good old boys club.
Right.
They were able to get their people in, their approved people. They had a little money flow, that benefited all of them. It was working very, very well until, I will say, after the election. That was a watershed moment when suddenly people like ourselves became awakened and realized our party no longer reflects our own values.
Right.
So precinct by precinct, we've begun to take that back.
Yeah.
And the entire precinct strategy extends throughout the entire country. It's working everywhere. There's grassroots rising up all across the country and changing the fabric of the entire party.
Wow.
And I'll say something else that's important. Maybe this is the time to mention it.
Yeah.
That we notice when we go door to door, that a lot of people have either re-registered themselves, or perhaps through the motor voter DMV, they end up being re-registered as unaffiliated voters. But what they don't realize is that their values of faith, family, freedom really does align with the Republican Party, particularly the conservative grassroots side of the Republican Party. So a lot of our campaign is not just aimed at Republicans, but we're looking for those unaffiliated voters and trying to bring them back to the party, back home, because we are the party that represents their values.
Right.
They can't really have an effective voice unless they're a party member. They can't participate in the assembly process.
Caucus.
They can't select their own candidates to through the primary process to actually get on the ballot and be elected. In other words, by going unaffiliated, you're taking a step back and choosing to close your voice. You're taking away your voice. So we are looking actively for those like-minded, unaffiliated voters to re-register as Republicans and realize the party isn't what it was when you left.
Right.
Please come back to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so fascinating about, the good old boys club you're talking about, but it's not surprising. You see that in small churches across the country, elder boards that, they want to keep things going the way it is. And it's like, hey, let's evangelize the community. Let's get more young people in here. And I mean, I'm shocked at how often I see that, like the pushback on that. No, we don't want to grow. We don't want, it's just something funny about people. And
I
power.
think so for myself, I know the precinct leader that I guess we took over the precinct, my daughter who's 19 and myself, and we went knocking and asking people to join us and attend caucus, and they had no clue anything about. The previous precinct leaders had never knocked on doors, never invited. It was just the three of them that would just keep the same every caucus. They would just elect themselves because nobody really attended. But it was wonderful to see how we knocked on doors and we told them, show up to caucus. Come on. This is a way for you to decide who you want to place in that position as your precinct leader, who's going to be out there knocking on doors, especially that next year we have a huge election year. Right. And so we need to get the word out.
One of the most important elections of the history of this country. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And it's education. I mean, again, the left owns the media. They own Hollywood. They own the music industry. So, we on the right in the Republican Party has to be much more diligent about bringing awareness, because it's not going to come any other way but through the grassroots system. I mean, we're, with rhinos and everything, we got so much against us. But you know what? That's the cool thing, because, the first Republican president was Abraham Lincoln. I mean, if I want to be a part of any president's party, it's his or George Washington's, like one of those guys. And, I mean, they didn't have the Republicans around when JW was coming into play. But the point is, it's like, if you actually look at the history of this party, it's all encompassing. It's just gotten this bad rap over the years, but we've had to do some house cleaning, and that's topic for another day, but that's what I think Trump's all about. So,
yeah.
But that's cool. That's so, I love it. I mean, I think that's amazing. Have you seen all the stuff on YouTube, like the Latinos for Trump and Black Americans for Trump and all these? Have you seen that big uprising since Trump got indicted?
Yes.
There's this huge influx. Like, what are your thoughts
I've
on
seen
that?
I've heard all the new songs that are on YouTube.
Yeah, I just started following these guys, Latinos for Trump. I see all their stuff. I'm so proud. It's in the darkest nights. That's when they produce the brightest lights, right? And we're a nation. George Washington and his ragtag, rebels against the crown. We have never been a country we've never been fighting a fair fight. We're always fighting the giants, right? But that is the beauty of it's the David story, right? The David and Goliath story. And, we have truth and righteousness and God on our side. So if God is for us, who can be against us?
Amen.
And I love to see this unification that's happening. The left wants to divide, right? Divide and conquer, divide America. I mean, it's unfortunate that a lot of people still follow the BS coming from the left and the media, the hyper left. And there's a lot of great Democrats out there, but the parties that be right now, they're a new left. They're a far progressive anti-American. It's a whole different system. That party got hijacked years ago. And, that's all about division, right? This whole CRT and SEL and all this stuff we're seeing, it's reverse racism. It breeds hate and division. But what I'm seeing through this, like, I'm always looking for the good, right? Whatever's praiseworthy and true, think on these things, right? I'm seeing that, like Candice and Adriana, like, just became lifelong friends through this. And, your backgrounds are probably very different, but it's just beautiful. I love seeing it. So.
I think, what holds us all together is that, our love as sisters in Christ. I think we have that love. And I think a lot of the people that have been getting engaged, even when I've gone, before I go knocking on doors, you just pray, because you pray that the Lord will open each and every door for people that want to fight for our country, to keep the values that our founding fathers had. And so, sometimes you knock on doors and people do not want to get engaged at all politically, but you can see that they might be going through something difficult that day. And I've been able to just pray with them. And you know what? It's about, I think it's about just bringing also the gospel. Use this as a gospel message as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely. It's intrinsic. I mean, that's another thing that we're starting to see more is a blossoming of faith. This darkness that and speak freely about faith, because Jesus is the savior. He's the king. He is who is going to save us from this mess. Like, I'm not tripping, because I know who holds our country's future. I know who built this country. Like, God built this country. God kept George Washington alive. God won the American Revolution. He won the Civil War. He's won every war we've fought since. I mean, my son and I were going through these World War II movies. It's always been good versus evil, but we have the Lord on our side. And the beautiful thing is like, I'm not tripping, because he's a God of election. He's faithful even when we're not. You got a lot of naysayers out there saying, oh, this country's doomed in the end and this and that. Not my God. My God doesn't abandon his people,
Amen.
And one of the verses I just found as in my studies the other day was hang on just a moment. Let me find it. Yeah. Psalm 94:14. For the Lord will not forsake his people. He will not abandon his heritage. And this is coming from I believe it's a Psalm of David. I could be wrong on that, but I mean, he's got it. It doesn't mean we sit back and fight. David still fought. He still had to face Goliath. He still fought with his mighty men. He slew thousands, but the point is, it's cool to see, because through it all, and what I was going to too is the evil that has overtaken, this dark cloud that has overtaken this country over the last several years. What I see it as a blessing is it's kicking the church awake. It's awakening a sleeping giant, and one that, like the church now. I mean, I believe we're going to see God move in this country and on his church in ways that we have never seen in the history of since Christ, so go on, Candice.
What you said in that verse is referring to his people. I think that is what Adriana and I have experienced in this swim into the political movement. Is I would say upwards of 95% of us on this grassroots side are believers. We probably have 95% of our values in common with each other. It's not that we don't fight like family because we love each other, but that's the most encouraging part of this, is that we aren't at home behind closed doors wringing our hands, not knowing what to do or what can we do. We found each other, and we found a common purpose, and we're more powerful as a group, and we're making things happen together, and we encourage each other every day, and so much the more as we see the day approaching.
Well, I think because also we know that the battle is the Lord's. We might not win a battle here and there, but the victory is the Lord's. So we're okay with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so tell me, Candice, let's go a little bit into the election integrity stuff. What are you seeing on that? Like, I mean, you talked about the war room and the computer and everything that with the history, but what's the latest news from the front?
Well, I'm so glad you asked me that question. Peter, I sent you an email right now with an attachment on it. I don't know if you can display it here as we're speaking.
Yeah, let me see let me try that. Hang on just a moment. But yeah, please do. I'm going to pull this up while you.
Okay.
Let me.
This flyer describes an event that we are organizing right now. In fact, it's just around the corner. It's October 17th.
Okay.
And what we are attempting to do is to invite everybody. Right now, our focus is on El Paso County, but we know that there are patriots from other counties already that are going to be pouring in to just observe this and to see if it might be something they could replicate in their own county. But what we're trying to do, are you able to display that yet?
Yeah, hang on. Almost. I'm getting there. Hang on just a minute. Oh, here we go.
There we go.
Okay. How's that? Can you guys see that okay? Let me I gotta scroll down while we talk. So yeah, we got El Paso County Republican Strategy Forum invites you to take a stand for free and fair elections. Countywide Patriot all call. Tuesday, October 17th, 6 to 8:30. Doors open, and this will be at 3337 North Academy Boulevard, featuring Joe Oltmann. And I'll put this in our show notes as well. Founder Conservative Daily Podcast. But yeah, cool.
Well, let me tell you about Joe Oltmann. You may be familiar with him. He has a podcast called The Conservative Daily. It's just grown exponentially since the election, and on the spirit of standing up against election fraud. And every morning when I listen to him, it's a daily podcast. The intro is this quote here that is on the bottom half of the flyer, where he says, "Are you tired of the new normal and the lies?" And the lie is election fraud.
Yeah.
It's the thing that the mainstream media tells you doesn't exist.
Right.
But it's time to end it. And he says,
because they're state-run media.
Yes, he says, "I know many of you are sitting here because you want to know what the plan is.
Mm-hmm.
And the solution is right in front of us. He says, ask God if you should step in the gap and become part of that plan. The plan is simple, and we are the plan. Well, that's what we're doing. We've come up with a plan. And if you look above his head, it gives everybody who comes, and we're hoping for a couple hundred, praying that that auditorium will be full, that it's a church we're meeting in.
Okay.
We're praying for a packed crowd, and we're literally going to give everybody an opportunity to self-assign to one of these 8 different committees that each addresses a different aspect of the election integrity challenge.
Okay.
It's everything from voting by mail and U.S. Postal Service operations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're a vote by mail state.
Right.
All of our ballots come in the mail, and you can return them by mail.
Which is, I mean,
which leaves
it's
a lot of room for nefarious activity to happen behind doors where we can't go back and see what's happening.
You mean it's not okay that I go and pick up, all the elderly people's ballots myself and stuff them in the envelope for them as a nice, friendly neighbor?
If that resonates you want to be on that committee. We have another committee, probably the largest one, that is aimed at cleaning up the voter rolls.
Mm-hmm.
There are, Adriana, can you give me the number? How many people on the voter rolls in El Paso County?
So, well, I haven't looked at the new voter roll, but just unaffiliated and Republicans, we have here in our county 358,000, just unaffiliated and Republicans. That was not counting Democrats.
Wow.
So I would guess it's over 500.
I think it's over 500, right. Because I remember when I was an election judge, the previous clerk and recorder said for the election last November, they mailed out just over 520 something thousand ballots.
Oh my gosh.
Our focus, of course, is on our own party and also on the unaffiliated.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to find literally the dead voters, the duplicate voters, the phantom voters, by going line by line through the 500,000, or for us, closer to 400,000 registered members of the voter roll to find out where this, Adriana, what's the number? I'd say roughly they print over 100,000 additional ballots that come back to the post office and to the clerk and recorder's office as undeliverable because there's nobody home there.
Right. So last year I was a Canvas board member here in El Paso County, and in my report at the end of the election, there was a wall full of undeliverable ballots, and I would say there was about 30,000 plus ballots that were undeliverable. They all had the yellow sticker on them.
Wow.
And those are only the ones that were returned. Most people tear them up or throw them away or sell them. I don't know, any number of things. But the voter rolls are a mess, and it's really our job one, and it will take hundreds of people to go through these voter rolls and clean them up. But we're going to start now. We have about 9 months to get this done, and people are supercharged to make this happen. So if that resonates with you, we need your help.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Do you want me to go through all 8? I'm happy to. Do you have time?
Yeah, we got 15 minutes left, so go for it.
I'll keep speaking to it.
Yeah, we could go over to a little bit if we have to. No big deal. We're not on a.
So the next group is called vulnerable voters, and generally that refers to our seniors in the nursing homes. Some of them are memory challenged,
right,
and really shouldn't be voting. But believe me, people vote for them.
Oh yeah.
We're trying to get our eyes on that operation to make sure there's integrity behind it.
Uh-huh.
And the other half of the vulnerable voters, I would say, it's not fully half, but is the military and overseas military voters.
Uh-huh.
We have a very high turnover of personnel through the military housing, and that creates a lot of wasted ballots.
Uh-huh.
So that's kind of a specialized area we're looking at, the vulnerable voters.
Yeah,
If you're
absolutely.
military or you have a loved one in a nursing home, that might resonate with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The next area is my favorite, election judges and poll watchers. That's where Adriana and I worked together last year. The election judges are appointed by the county chair, and the poll watchers are pretty much organized by the county secretary, which is Adriana. And the idea is that we are the eyes and ears on the ground watching the entire voter operation. But this year we want to get into places we have never seen before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They've traditionally tell us where to watch and when to be there, but we've learned a lot from doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And we know there's a lot more going on that we're not seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to put fresh eyes and creative thinking into ways we can be more effective witnesses of this operation and tell people what we find.
Yeah.
Our presence there is the salt and the light.
Yep.
The disinfectant that we're, the light shining on this operation,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can find out what goes on in darkness.
Yeah.
The next area is voter registration. We kind of touched on that. We are a motor voter registration state, and we're bound by a lot of state laws. We're bound by a lot of state laws, period.
Mm-hmm.
But in this area, we have a peculiar situation that if you have ever done business with the DMV,
Mm-hmm.
the Department of Motor Vehicles, you may walk away from that inadvertently having your registration switched to unaffiliated.
What?
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
We've lost over 9,000
Yes.
registrants from GOP into the unaffiliated list. And we actually had two candidates, lifelong Republicans, last year when they declared their candidacy, found out that they weren't even Republicans anymore.
Oh,
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, somebody had re-registered them as unaffiliated.
oh my gosh.
And it affected one man's eligibility for the office. So this is not a small thing.
No.
So we're going.
And this is just one county. How many thousand? 3,000?
Right, 300,000.
Voters, but like people that you found that became unaffiliated.
9,000. 9,000.
9,000
have been shipped.
That's in one county.
We created these cards. Let me see if I can get this right.
Yeah. Yeah, hang on. Let me blow you up a little bit.
Okay, it's a business card. Is it backwards?
Yes.
It's a business card that we printed up that encourages people to use this QR code and go to govotecolorado.gov.
Back it up just a little bit. Back it up just a little bit. So there we go. It's focusing now. That's better. Perfect. Right there.
So we encourage people to do this. You go to that website and you can see your own voter registration. You can verify your name, your address.
Go to what is it? Oh, Gov.
It's govotecolorado.gov.
Okay. I want to see if I can put a ticker on that. Hang on just a second here. Yeah, govotecolorado.gov. Bear with me while I do this.
Candice brings up a great one of the problems that we've had, because as I've called certain people that said they want to get engaged, and I check the voter rolls to make sure we get them engaged with the party, I've called them back and I said, "Sir, can I ask you why you are registered as unaffiliated?" And the gentleman on the phone said, "What are you talking about? I've been a lifelong Republican my entire life." And I said, "Well, sir, the voter roll says that you're unaffiliated. And he said, no, where do I change that? Because that is not correct. But we have noted, I think even in the booths that we've run here and there around the county, there have been several people that have told us, right? When we've checked, they're unaffiliated and they never switch to unaffiliated.
Wow. I bet you, I just had to renew my license. I need to do this. I'm going to go check it.
You do. You do.
Oh, and it's like, it's news, but it's not surprising. It's like, well, makes sense. It's kind of like an octopus just with tentacles, like in like Hydra in the Marvel movies, it's like just like slithering into every little corner and crevice. It's demonic. I mean, it's spiritual. This is spiritual warfare, straight up.
It would be disingenuous to say that all of those 9,000 were because of the DMV. By the way, it's the default in their program to register you as unaffiliated. And if you're new to the state, and they tell you, well, you're going to get a letter or a postcard in the mail, and you can reassign your voter affiliation when you feel like it. Well, we know very well that doesn't happen. So it has attrited the Republican Party down to the third party. Unaffiliateds are the largest, Dems, then GOP. And
oh my God. Well, so is that
from knocking on doors that most people are like-minded by our values, but it is not reflected in the voter registration.
Right.
So this is a big, big problem.
Yeah.
So we are focusing on church groups. I mean, those are the people. Many of them may have left the party of their own choice at some point when they felt the party no longer reflected their values. But as I said before, as an unaffiliated person, you really don't have an opinion. You don't have a right to an opinion until you're a member of the party. You really have no skin in the game. You have to sign up to be part of us, participate in the caucus process, the assembly process, to get the candidate you want on that ballot. But if you're not going to join up, you can't play. It's that simple. You're cutting your own legs out from under you. You're muzzling yourself. You have no voice if you will not affiliate with the party. So please, people, just rethink it. Rethink it. You're not helping. You're only helping the other people by staying in the unaffiliated group. Come back.
/ independent, right? Would you say the same about independents?
Right.
It's the same. Independent. Yeah, I think there's fewer people actually registered. Is Adriana, do you know that, registered as independents?
There are fewer.
Yeah.
Much fewer. I mean, I meant to say, like, whether you're unaffiliated or independent, you're kind of sitting on the sidelines either way.
Exactly.
You are. But that's another thing that people aren't aware, that if you don't choose to switch over, if you have similar values, you should choose to go Republican, because then you get to attend caucus and you get to be a delegate, hopefully, in your county assembly and then at the state assembly, and you actually have a voice instead of.
There's two teams on the field, and for better or worse, whatever, there's two teams on the field. And
so if you like $5 eggs, if you like $5 gallon gasoline, if you like open borders, if you like, name it. If you're happy with the way the government is being run right now, the Democrats are your man.
Right.
That's your guy. Go for him. But no, that's not where we are. People
if you like freedom and
so you want freedom,
equal opportunity, not equal outcome, equal opportunity.
You want to protect your children in the schools. No, to me, there is a choice, but there is no choice. We have been mugged by the reality of the circumstances that have developed in just 2 years.
Right.
Look where we are after just 2 years of this experiment.
Right.
I think most people have come to the answer, but they need to take that additional step re-register themselves, and get involved.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two more of these task groups. One is voting machines and devices.
Mm-hmm.
And this is very popular with the tech guys.
But before you move on, though, I just wanted to make something clear with what you're seeing with the DMV kicking people into the unaffiliated status. Is that more of Republicans getting kicked, or is it equal on both sides, Democrats and Republicans becoming unaffiliated? Do you know?
I don't.
You'd
I
have to
don't know.
It hurts us though, because we're the smallest, we're the minority party now.
Okay. Okay. So we don't know for sure if it's nefarious, but we suspect so.
Well, when people declare their choice at the DMV and then they come home and they're unaffiliated, that is nefarious in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay.
When
cool.
it's set as a default operation to take away their choice.
Yeah. Right.
It is
Yeah,
nefarious.
absolutely. Absolutely. Regardless if it's biased or not, it's still wrong. Absolutely.
And they're unaware. All these people are unaware. So it was not their choice. It was not.
Well, and we've had some cool guests on here. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he and they're software guys, and they figured out a way to really get in and expose a lot of the evidence of the voting fraud. And according to him, this state is actually a red state, purple at best. It's not blue. The only reason why it's popping up blue is because of all the shady stuff going on. And it's actually majority of Coloradans, at least half are Republicans.
That's what we find going door to door, that they're still out there and they still think like you do.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And we have to get it back.
Yeah, absolutely.
One door at a time. We printed 24,000 of these things.
All right, cool.
Going door to door, record by record. We're going to make a difference.
That's right. That's right.
But there's a place for those guys that are the machine guys. One of the things Joe Oltmann says is that you can't out-cheat the machines.
Yeah.
And that's the sad truth.
Right.
Many of us are convinced there are algorithms programmed into the machines, and you can't watch it. You can't see it unless you have X-ray vision. Nobody can even detect it.
Yeah.
But yet, there's a lot of guys that are intent on doing that very thing. So, if you're a techie, a data guy, I'm saying guys, mostly guys.
Sure.
This group is for you, the voting machines and devices. And they love this stuff. And this Joe Oltmann is at the peak of the spear on all that information about he's gone head to head against Dominion voting machines in the courtroom. So he's truly a champion of that cause.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I mean that's huge. It's the techies, the tech guys are running the country. They're the ones controlling all the information right now. We need more. I mean, but that's the cool thing about free market, right? Free enterprise. Like, because of everything going on, look what's going on. Like, look what's happening. Look at all these, I guess, non-woke companies popping up. And this is the beauty of the free market. It's the checks and balances. It's the people standing up and speaking up and voting with their dollars. And I mean, that's the beauty of it. That's why precisely evil, controlling, dictatorial fascists want to, go on. What's that?
I think we can say that because there's still a remnant of free speech left.
Yeah. Yeah.
We still have a shred of free speech left.
Yeah.
That's
our forefathers
able to overcome the Bud Light that,
right. Yeah. Bud Light and Target and all that. Yeah.
All of it. It's because we got up and shouted. We exercised our free speech because it's still there, just barely. It's hanging by a string.
Right.
We're losing the entire Bill of Rights. There's one by one. Yeah. Every one of them is at risk.
Right.
And so it was such a thrill to actually see it work again.
Yeah.
And that our popular voice overruled that of the tech, the big tech and the big government.
Yeah.
For once our voice was heard and we prevailed.
Yep.
Well, we have to make it happen more than ever.
Yeah.
next November.
Yeah,
We have to,
absolutely.
that's the value of us gathering as groups, being more than just one solitary voice out there. It's the power of the group,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
power of a collective voice. And so,
Right.
if this resonates with you, really encourage you to come join us
Mm-hmm.
next on the 17th. There's one last area that's really exciting. We added this because we're fortunate that our clerk and recorder, Steve Schleicher, has offered to do a concurrent hand recount along with the machine voting. We're obligated by law to conduct a machine count, but he did agree that he would do a partial concurrent hand count, concurrent with the actual vote. So we intend to take him up on that offer. So we have one group that's dedicated to the hand count, to creating a process, and we're practicing it in other parts of the state on how to conduct a hand count.
Mm.
This used to be done here just maybe 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Paper poll books, voting in person at the precinct level. No, there's a strong movement, a mounting movement, a groundswell movement across the country to bring back the simplicity and purity of that operation.
Mm.
So the 8th group is dedicated to doing that very thing, creating the hand count method. So if you like
That's
a
awesome.
puzzle, if you like trying to figure out a foolproof method, that's exciting to you, that's your group. Something for everybody.
So yeah, these are all amazing. How can our listeners or anyone that comes across this video reach you? Like, say they want to get involved, we've got this, but is there an email or something that they can reach out to and get connected?
I would say if they get the flyer, just show up on that day. Show up at 3337 North Academy Boulevard in the Springs, 5:30 in the evening on Tuesday, October 17th.
Okay.
Be
Write
there.
that down. Tuesday,
Yeah.
October
Don't miss
17th.
it. And if you're not in El Paso County, come and take notes.
Yeah. Well,
And you-
that's the thing. I'm up here in
Mhm.
Castle Rock. I'm like going, okay, what
Oh,
I
yeah.
gotta get.
You
I
should
gotta get.
go.
Come on down, Peter.
Come on
Yeah.
down.
Totally. I'm not that far. I'll come down and bring the
Right.
fam.
Yeah,
Yes.
Joe Oltmann lived in Castle Rock. He now goes in between Texas and Castle Rock. So, yeah, he's one of you.
Come on. You have to come down. You have to
would-
meet.
We'd love to meet
Yeah.
you, Peter.
Yeah. No, that's
Mhm.
I'm gonna put that on my calendar, and that looks awesome. Looks
Yeah.
great. I mean,
It's a
shoot, this
happening.
is, Hugo got me involved in this. We met at a men's group, a church men's group.
That's
And I'm like, okay, I gotta get, like you were saying, Candice, sitting home wringing your hands, like
Mhm.
complaining and just being a grumpy old Christian, that's stupid. Yeah, Jesus is gonna smite you all, but it's it's fun. I've been out getting more involved and meeting amazing people. And
So let me ask you something. Are you a precinct leader?
no,
That's
Okay,
it.
that's
I'm a podcast producer.
Okay, well,
You can do both.
you
Or
can reach a lot
podcast.
of people this way too. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to go hunt you down.
Okay. Hey, you guys know where to find me. This is awesome. I love it. So,
We'll put you to
and
work.
we missed one, but that's okay. We didn't talk about the research and resources. Do you want to touch on that
I'm
real
glad
quick?
you asked that. I'll explain it real quick. The expression dark money?
Mm-hmm.
Dark money? Well, there are a lot of out of state influence that comes to bear on our elections. They're NGOs and nonprofits that basically are skirting election law in order to get money down to the pavement, to affect people's votes, affect the outcome of the vote, affect public opinion, affect even media and news coverage of the election. And this group, the Research and Resources Group, is all about identifying who those people are and outing them.
Good.
So these are researchers, professional researchers, or just people who are really good at going through a government database. And we're also writers, and we intend to write about what we find. We're creating our own voice. We need to do better about creating our own media, just like you, Peter.
Yeah.
Finding people like you are able to tell our story, because we're muzzled every other way.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the truth, and the light needs to be shown. Take it out, take the bushel off the top of it, and let the light shine.
That's right.
We have a message, and we believe the truth will make us free.
Yeah.
And so that's what that's all about, is finding out who these people are. This is the big money that's behind our elections.
Yeah. And that, again, coming back to so another scripture, Luke 8:17, for there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open. Like that, or I like the ESV's better. It says, nor anything secret that will not be known and come to light. It's like, that's what's happening. And that's what we're seeing, because we are the people. We are by the people, for the people, of the people, by the people, and for the people. It's ingrained in our fabric. And we're seeing that now more than ever. And I think in the history, at least in recent history, because, anyway, so it's so cool. You guys are awesome. Two of my new heroes.
What was that verse, Peter? What was that verse you just quoted?
Luke 8:17.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, like we say here in El Paso, you are the life of the party. So you need to join your local party and get involved. That's what I just and we are going to grow the party here in Colorado Springs with more Hispanics. Yeah. And if you have any viewers that want to get involved here in the Colorado Springs, por favor, llámenme a la oficina en El Paso County Republican Party.
Oh, that's so cool. Well,
yeah, what you said.
You guys, thank you so much for coming on. You know what? We'll have you guys back on again too when Hugo comes back, if you guys are cool with that. Because it's so great to hear what you're doing, and anybody who is listening, if you're in, within driving distance at all of El Paso County, come down to this October 17th. You're going to meet some amazing people. Tuesday, again, I'll put this in the show notes as well. I'll put the details in our show notes here. And, we're still small, growing, but like every week we're gaining traction and getting followers. So, that's why I want to have you guys back again too. And when we can,
maybe
get this
God willing, when we speak next time, maybe our precincts will be filled to maybe 90%. So
it will be. They will be. You keep going out there. You keep knocking heads, knocking doors.
Well, it's nice and cooler now, so it's nice to knock on doors.
Go ahead, Candice. Jump on in.
Adriana, give them your email address at the party.
Okay. Well, if anybody has any questions here, it's secretary@GOP. Is that right?
I'm gonna put it. Oh, you gave it to me before. Hang on.
I did.
Yeah. Let me find it.
I almost gave you mine.
Secretary, the one that you gave me, right?
Yes.
Okay, let me do this. Stand by.
Secretary@GOPElPaso.com.
Okay. I'm gonna put this here.
I didn't know that'd be so difficult, Adriana.
Here we go.
If anybody has any questions or wants to get engaged, absolutely. Or you know what? I know there's other counties that they're trying to fill more precincts, and when I met Hugo, I said, does anybody need somebody to get them motivated or to walk with them? I am more than happy to start getting them just, that first, second at least an hour of door knocking and getting people more involved in other counties. Adams, you have up there Jefferson, Arapahoe, all those. I'm willing. So let's get more people engaged.
Cool. Right on. And you guys keep going. This has been awesome, super inspiring. And I'll definitely be in touch with you guys. And it's been an honor. I appreciate you guys coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining. Again, we'll have you back on. But everybody listening, secretary at goplpaso.com to reach out to Adriana if you have any questions. October 17th, 6 p.m. Mark the date, 3337 North Academy Boulevard. So, well, Jesus bless you both. Thank you for joining, and we'll be in touch very soon here. So, a big Hispanic Patriot. God bless you, and Dios te bendiga.
Igual.
All right.
Adiós. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. Igualmente.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Que Dios los bendiga.